All right, so what we're going to talk about today is small multiples and how easy it is to do with the Infographics Designer. All right, so what you see here is a basic data set. We've got role, resource, project, work, and months, very basic. And we're going to create some small multiples using the Infographics Designer. So here I've already brought it into Power BI Desktop. You see my information over here. You can see that the months, because it's a date, has already generated the date hierarchy for me, so in good shape. What I'm missing, however, is I don't have the Infographics Designer custom visual in here. So in order to do that, I've got to go out to the marketplace here, and you'll actually see it on the very first, I guess, scroll down, if you will. It's right here at the bottom on the Power BI custom visual screen. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to add that. If you already have it, you may actually want to add it again just to make sure you've got the latest version. And then what I'm going to do is basically just go ahead and click it. And it's going to add a blank visual here. I'm going to make it the size of the canvas here so you can really see what's going on here. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to report on work. And if you notice, there's a category field, and I'll talk about that in a moment. There's a measure field, so this is the thing that we're actually trying to show the story around. There's a legend field, so if you have multiple values of the measure that you want to show in context, you can add that here. Then there's this column by and row by fields. So first off, let's start with the card. And basically what a card is, it's just showing you the number, if you will. And the easiest way to get a card here is to simply drag in row or work into measure, and lo and behold, you get a card. So basically this is just the number. Now, what would happen if I wanted to show this by resource? Well, the thing is, if you do row by, this is basically saying, how do I want to slice this up vertically? And so what I can do is drag in role over here, by row by, and notice now I'm getting this by the role. So this is pretty cool. But what happens if I wanted to do this maybe by month or something? So I'm going to drag in month. And what I'm going to do here is I want to break this up horizontally now. And this is where the month, if we put it in the column by, we get this breakdown by month, by role. And it's pretty cool the way it is. And the thing is, this is a great way to show statistics in a numeric fashion very easily using the Infographics Designer. If you really want to get fancy with it, see this little pencil up here? You can click that. And up here, there's this text color thing, and it has a data binding next to it. So if you click this, you can basically say, all right, we're going to attach this to work. And what I want to do is add a split point. So essentially what I'm looking for is anything below, say, 160 hours is considered underutilized. So I'm going to put that in, and I'm going to say 160 like that. Click OK. And so now I get these two formatting points. So I can come in here, and I can make that red, like that. And this one I could make green, like so. And then I come up here, click apply. And look at that, now I've got almost a heat map, if you will, of just the numbers. And this is pretty cool. There's a lot of things that we can do with this. And again, it's very useful. But what happens if I want to show an actual chart? Well, for that, you really got to use this category field. And for that, what we're going to do is we're going to drag in, I'm going to make some changes here. So first off, I'm going to drag in the resource. And one of the things you'll notice immediately is it changes this into a column chart. And you can see that if you go to the roller brush, there's a small multiple. There's also a chart here. And you can see that here's the column. I can also change this to a bar chart, or I could change this to a line chart. So those are really the three types that you have here. And depending on what kind I want, I can change this around. So if I go back to here, I can also say, well, let me drag in project into legend and see what happens. And so now you start to get finer and finer lines. Now, if I was looking at this, I would go, well, this is lovely, but this isn't quite what I was looking for. So let me back this up a little bit. So I'm going to take out the column by, and then maybe I will take out the row here. So now I've got a basic chart. And let's take out resource because I think that's too granular. But if we had, say, roll there, and I took out project, that, and then said, oh, let's look at this by year, like so. This is starting to look a little more interesting. And then maybe I want to also show this by resource. So again, kind of flipping it around a bit. But now you're starting to get a better sense of where things are being used, that kind of thing. So again, this is something I think you should definitely play with. There's some really good things you can do with this, and it's easy. You just have to sit here and configure it a bit. And also too, with a lot of these, you have the ability to come in here, you can add shapes, you can add photos, you can add shapes like this, outlines. So for example, if I go back to, let's take out the roll here, and you remember earlier I had the numbers and we had them color-coded and whatnot. So what happens if I really just want to have this as a background? And I'm going to essentially say, instead of by year, I'm going to do this by month. So we have, or let's do it by quarter actually, better. I don't want too many side values here. 3 values works really well. And there's these lines in here, so that's one of the things that you can actually take off. The way to do that, let's see, I think it's in small multiples. So I can say hide separators. If I do that, I have a nice clean look, but maybe I want it to be separated a bit more. And that's where you can come in here, and I can add a shape, like so, and maybe a background. And then, of course, I need to push it to the back, so set it to the back. And this is still looking a bit too intense. So maybe what we want to do here is I'm going to go ahead and data bind it again, like we did earlier. And I'm going to add that same split point. So we did 160, like so. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do maybe, wrong thing. No, that's actually what I wanted. You could always change the shapes. So instead of it being filled, do something like that. You can also do different things here like this. And this is one thing that you can do. Now the other thing is, if I go back to format, you can also do value color. So right now we have everything that's dark, and it's the same way. So I could bind this to work, and I can add that split point, like so. And I can say anything under that. Maybe let's make it a really, I don't know, like a light pink kind of color. And then with this one, maybe I want to make it a very light green. And hit apply. And now we're creating almost a heat map, if you will, again, but a little bit more intense color. But again, you could play with this and check it out, see what else you can do with it. There's a lot of functionality built into this thing. And also, lastly, the layout mode that we have this in is in Flow. There's also a matrix mode, which changes this up a bit. And you can essentially decide, how big you want it, how you want it laid out. There's different actions here. Because we have the card, we can say different aspect ratios. So there's a lot of things you can play with here in the Format tab. But I would advise you take another look at this, especially if you're looking to do small multiples. It's very easy to do, and I think it's going to be a lot easier than some of the other alternatives. Hope you enjoyed this, and if you have any comments or questions, please post them in the comments below. Thanks.